How long should the lights be on for your seedlings? The duration of light can be critical for growing good-sized seedlings. You don't want leggy seedlings. They're weak. The stems are too long, they're thin, they don't grow as well, they don't transition as well to go outside. Learn to grow good short seedlings. And to do that, you have to get the duration of light correct. How many hours a day do you light these seedlings? Now I know some of you just want a quick answer, so I'm going to split this program into two parts. In part one, I'll give you a quick answer. It's a rule of thumb that works most of the time. Then in part two, we'll discuss it in a little more detail for those who really want to understand your new grow lights. Well, to give you a quick rule, we have to understand what kind of LED lights you have. There are sort of two categories. There's the real LED lights. Now, how do you tell if you have one of those? Well, the ppfd value at a foot below the light, in the center of the light, will be over 400. Now, if you don't know what that is, and your manufacturer doesn't give you that value, then you don't have true grow lights. If you have one of these lights, set it so it's 12 inches above your plants and run it for 12 hours a day. Simple rule. If you don't understand what ppfd is and you don't know the value of your lights, then you're probably in the other category. These are grow lights that are not real grow lights as far as I'm concerned. They tend to be lower in intensity. They may have grow lights put on the package. They may be called grow lights, but they're really not true grow lights. How can you tell you have one of these? The manufacturer doesn't give you the ppfd value. That's the intensity of light you're getting from this light. They don't give you the spectra of the light, so you really don't know what kind of light you have. Now they call it full spectrum and just like sunlight or something like that, but they don't show you the spectra, so you don't know what you're getting. This category includes many of the lights you're using. So any of the shop lights, lights that are on flexible bars that you can move around, lights that come as a single bulb, and they're called grow lights. All of these kinds of lights are LED lights. They will grow plants, but generally the light isn't matched to what the plants need, and the intensity is pretty low. So the rule of thumb for these plants is to have them 6 inches above the plant and run the lights for 16 hours. Or you can lower the lights to 3 inches and run them for 12 hours. That will also grow fairly good plants, and it's a general rule. Now here are a couple myths that you should know about these lights. The first one is that you should never run any LED lights 24 hours. There's some people online that say, well, your lights don't have enough intensity and you want to grow really good seedlings, so run them for 24 hours. What's the harm? Well, there is a real harm. Plants need to sleep. Now, they don't sleep like you and I, but they do rest. All of the biochemistry that goes on during photosynthesis has to correct itself. It needs a rest period to regenerate some of these molecules that it's using in photosynthesis. So it needs a rest, and 8 hours is a good rest. So as a general rule, plants want 8 hours of darkness. That leaves you with 16 hours where you can run the lights. If your plants are leggy, that means they're kind of spindly and tall, you can increase the duration of light up to 16 hours, but don't go past that. Another myth I see all the time is that seedlings don't need as much light as the adult plants. Now, in some ways that may be true. The seedlings can get along with a little less light, but they can take the same light as the adult plants, and in fact, if you give them that light, they'll grow better. They stay shorter and they're tougher plants. So give seedlings the same amount of light as the adults. And when do you start that light? The minute you see some green above the soil line, you give them the light, full light. Don't baby these things. If you followed my simple rules, you can adjust those numbers once you see the plants growing. If your seedlings have leaves that are very yellow, you're giving it too much light. Shorten the duration of light or raise the lamps. That should help give you greener leaves. If the edges of the leaves seem burnt, they're going brown, You might be giving them too much light, but it could be caused by other things. If you're seeing that symptom, give them a little less light. Again, raise them up or shorten the duration. Now, if you're not giving enough light, the symptoms are quite different. If you're not giving them enough light, what happens is the seedling stretches to try and get to the light. It knows it's not getting enough light, so it makes these tall stems, and we call that leggy. They're weak, they flop very easily. If there's more light in one direction, they'll start curving towards the light. Those are all signs that you're not giving enough light. Lower the light or increase the duration up to 16 hours. Some other signs of not enough light are that the lower leaves might drop off because they're useless to the plant, so the plant lets them go. Or the leaves might be very dark green. When the plant doesn't get enough light, it makes more chlorophyll. More chlorophyll shows up in the leaves as a darker color. We want that mid-range green, not real yellow, but not real dark either. Again, if the leaves are dark, give it a little more light. Now, if you're serious about growing seedlings and using LED lights, it's time you learn about something new that most gardeners don't understand yet. But as we transition from fluorescent lights to LED lights, it's important that all gardeners start learning about the DLI, the Daily Light Integral. In short, this is the total amount of light your plants are getting in a 24-hour period. And I've made a separate program that goes into detail and tells you what that is and how to use it to set up your light fixtures correctly so that the plants are getting the best light possible. To learn more about the DLI, have a look at my previous program that describes it in detail. Happy gardening.